I'm Alayshia. I'm very animated. I'll start off with that, and I make hers, so just apologies in advance. That's just my technology language. So currently I'm an engineering manager in Honeycomb, so I do a lot of observability things, and my background is DevOps infrastructure. And so for me, shit gets complicated, it gets confusing, and everyone cares about their thing, if that makes any sense. And so it's all about collaborating and having a good culture around, hi, we have a lot of questions, how do we get things done? And so those are part of the things we're gonna talk about today. Can I start the presentation? You cool with that? Okay. So it's progressive delivery with observability. So I already told you who I am, so I'll pause from that or skip that. So what we'll discuss is a little bit about what observability is. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. So I do want to touch bases on that. And then how does it improve your deployments? And then from there, what does it actually look like? And at the end of that, I'll probably have an actual demo for you. So what is observability? So part of it is what's on the slide. So it's being able to ask questions about your systems. Systems today are complex. So there's a lot of microservices, there's a lot of things going on. There's, we're at SREdays, there's SREs, there's developers, there's product teams, product engineers, there's all types of people that make a thing work. And they all have questions and they all want to know certain things. And the thing about that is, so traditionally, if we look at different space and different elements like logging and metrics and tracing, all of those things are slightly different, but they coexist for different reasons. And because of that, there's things where I can't just have a dashboard that just looks at CPU usage when I care about the customer. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we like to go to work and think about, okay, I'm on the billing team, this is what I'm responsible for. If customers are not coming through the door, then we are not getting paid because the company isn't getting paid. So that's the whole thing. And because of that, observability is more of a, not like a ready to order situation, more like, hi, these are my questions. So what is my system doing? Oh, this is an interesting thing. Let me zoom in on that interesting thing to understand what those things mean. And then from there, we can use different things about our systems that we've decided to make additional decisions. So it's more than just, okay, this is a stack trace, what happened? But because the stack trace happened, did it happen for a subset of users? Did it happen for a particular user? Is this person getting toil? Are we all getting toil? Is this some bullshit? What is this? And also there's a whole thing where you may have some code out there in the streets. So this code may be from a contractor, or you've created code and now you've unlocked the box of, oh, I didn't know it was doing that. Or, oh, we thought we were gonna hit that web page in 15 seconds and we're really hitting it in 35, but users are not having a problem. And so those are things that observability opens up for you to understand as a collective group what your questions are, how to have data-driven decisions based on the thing that's in front of you versus an assumption about a thing that may or may not happen. So how does it improve your deployment? Well, like I said before, you get to understand your systems. So you get to know what they're doing, you get to know the inner workings, and every time something happens, you can add some more instrumentation or you can add some more logic to understand more about it, to say, okay, now we know this, and now we can look for this, and now we can look for that. And also, I don't know about everybody else, I hate talking about the same shit 55 million times. And it's really great when you can go in to your systems and say, hey, Josh, here's the data that these were the questions that you were asking about. Don't call me again. It's beautiful. And enhancing personal interests. So we all work in teams, right? The thing about working in a team is, to be honest, you probably only care about your thing. So if you're working with someone and you're working with one service, I'll just use the billing service again. Let's just say I'm the cart service and I'm working with the building service, and these are our teams based on our services. And something happened and it's really not my shit, but all of a sudden it becomes my problem. Now I get to look into that. Having that observability around that, you get to see the whole unit of work and you get to identify that unit of work. So now you're looking at it from a place of, okay, now I get to see what's going on. So you said it was me. It's not me, but guess what? That's okay. Let me help you here. And my favorite part, which is the corniest part, is the business to technical language translation. So because things are data-driven and you get to make these decisions, you get to put that business context into technical context. So if you're on a team and you're the technical person, and then there's a business person that's translating what your SLAs are, what your SLOs are, whatever is, you can literally put that in technical terms to say, okay, this is what you've identified as an organization on this thing should move like this, or we should have availability like this or that, and we can put that in technical terms and we can monitor that. So when things happen and we're fixing things, we can also identify, hey, I can't do the risky experiments today because quite frankly, I don't have time or I have visibility into that thing. And just like with deployments, we're able to understand not just, okay, our test ran, we're successful. We all know sometimes in our build pipelines, you can run the same pipeline and it has the same level of success and it was a minor change and it was this or that and the times are different. Why? Why did this happen? Let's put some things around that to understand those things. And so that's a key component. So what does this look like? So I don't smoke, but I really enjoy the cigarette and the whiskey emoji. Also looking to the side because it's more of a so. Okay, so normally observability looks like a hot ass mess. I'm joking. Sometimes it does look like a hot ass mess though, but I'll explain to you. So in a perfect world, we have all the things we need. We've done all of the things and everything's great, right? It doesn't work like that. We're talking about speaking a new language. We're talking about getting people together. Some of them you may not even like because you've been through something with them at work or something like that. And so it starts off being a hot mess when you're not able to identify things, when the tools that you're using are not doing the things that you expect. And so when you start off, it becomes a hot ass mess. But then it becomes an orchestra. So if you look at it this way, it's a bunch of moving pieces. And so you may have some observability around your pipeline, then you may have observability around your application. So now we can say, okay, based on what's happening here, we've identified that this is an optimized process, this is great, or this build's failing every once in a while, but nothing's wrong. Now we can identify that thing. Then we can go off into the application. In the application, we can get real-time results on how my user is not doing too well today. And we can be proactive on that thing. You can basically put observability around whatever you want and use it in addition to other things to identify what you need. And so all those pieces come together to make more of a symphony. So I want to go through a little example really quickly. So example bit. So I have a problem statement. I'll tell you in advance, I'm not a developer. I'm a person that puts some shit together that makes it work. So don't judge my code in advance. So my company is deploying a new beta version for a catalog application. So I have a basic JavaScript application. I call it catalog because someone can buy something from there. It's not that deep. I'm basically hitting some endpoint to say hello world, but I'm just calling it that. And then through that, I like to understand what my build is doing and then use that customer information to understand how the system's working. So there's a deeper part and the progressive part about all this is that not just observability, what if I can real time ask the system what is going on? So what if my question would be, I can't go from beta to whatever if there's errors for these particular subset of users that I release this to, or if I find out this, and that, whatever that category is, latency or whatever it is. If you can identify that programmatically in your pipelines, that's just making it a step easier, because now we're saying, based on these data-driven results, I can go off to the next thing. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So observability is also like shining the light into a lot of dark places. And so you practically want to shine it everywhere. So you want to shine it around your application. So identifying what the application is doing. So there's, the code is a little tiny here, but just so you know, this is just open telemetry. And I'm basically, the important parts are, I'm identifying my service, I'm identifying my application version. And so maybe I want to know what's going on based on the versions I'm deploying, or maybe I need information based on those deployments. And by having my service name, now I have ownership around the shit that I care about. And so if it's your service, his service, her service, their service participating in a trace, we can identify those things that way. And then from there, I have this little hello endpoint happening, and then there's a username and ID that's happening there. And so what I'm doing is, every time I'm hitting this hello endpoint, you could think of it as hitting a home page, I'm identifying some key things that might be important to me, might be important to my organization. So if you take it a step further, for your particular service or for whatever you're doing, you can add information that makes it more relevant and understanding to you. So not just like user IDs and emails and things like that. There may be certain processes that require certain things, or when certain logic kicks off, you may want to know that this thing happened. And so you can make it your own and go as deep as you want. And on the right side, I'm just showing you what a unit of work looks like. And so from hitting that hello world endpoint, there are some things that are happening. And so from this, some express things are happening. So I get to see that. So if I've decided, or we've decided as an organization, this is what good looks like, cool. If we decide as an organization, this shit is too slow, we can fix it. But now we can see what's going on, and we can see what's going on for a specific situation, a holistic situation, whatever the situation is. And then from there, you can put things around your pipeline. So you can literally say, hi, pipeline, all of these things are happening. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see what information I can get back. I want to see if I'm running unit tests. You can expand that to actually show all your unit tests. Whatever you decide to do, that's completely up to you. But now you have access into seeing into those things as well. And then from there, you can query systematically. So on the on the left-hand side, this is Circle CI. And I've decided I want to do some basic things. Of course, I need to check out. And then from there, I have some scripts based on certain pieces of information. And in this case, the piece of information that I have is based on the errors that exist. I want to know what's going on. And so my script is going to call that out programmatically. So when I go to my beta environment, things run as I'm getting information back from those users. I'm getting, oh, okay, errors are happening. If I decided there's a threshold of errors or a subset of errors that I want to identify as, okay, we can't promote a thing. And this is not just for betas, for whatever you decide. Even if you want to do a canary deploy, you want to deploy based on before or after, or do a rollback strategy based on, oh, some shit blew up, or this wasn't the expectation, you can definitely do that. And so by doing so, we're basically adding the context that we need. And also here at the very bottom, I'm adding additional context to say, hey, I'm getting this information that's happening. I also want to know the number of errors, because that makes sense. If I'm telling my group, hi, we should probably roll this back, or hi, this thing sucks for this subset of users, and this is why, and this is our data. So with all that, you can do so many things. So by making those data-driven decisions, you can test right into production. So for example, with tracing, you're putting that right in your code. And so as you promote it to your environments, it organically promotes itself to whatever environments. And so as soon as you're getting users hit a thing, you get to understand what the actual users are doing. And that's very impactful versus, okay, I'm testing in a sandbox and I expect the sandbox to do what the prod thing is doing. It doesn't work like that. It never works like that. And you can be more proactive on what's happening with users as well, because you're getting in their real-time data. And soon as something's hitting, you're getting this information back to say, hey, I need to do something. And so on the right-hand side, it's just a snippet of the Circle CI, the script that I have based on pulling down those components. I can identify like how many errors cannot be processed, then it records that and errors itself out. And the last part about all this is that you get to grow with your application changes. So as we know, over time, if we can understand what our data is doing, then we can make our application better. We can make our customer experience better. So organically, you get to grow over time with these things.